everyone, welcome back to the Anime Iceberg. I'm Megan.
And I'm Meg.
And today we're talking about Dr. Stone, episode 59, Ryusui vs. Senku.
Yes, and this is season 4, episode 1.
Yes, it is.
Finally made it to the final season.
Yeah, final season part 1.
Yeah, from what we know, it's being broken down into 3 parts, and the second part just started a couple weeks ago.
Yep. And so we got a new intro and outro. The intro is Casanova Posse by Ali. I think that's how you say the name. The outro is Rolling Stone by, was it like Bremen or something?
See.
As always, sorry for bad pronunciations.
Yeah, Rolling Stone by
Bremen,
something like that.
But yes, both are very good, especially Casanova Posse.
Yeah, that caught us off guard.
I think our jaws were on the floor the first time we saw
especially after the last one, which is like really
relaxing.
Yeah, and slow, and then you're like, whoa.
This season's gonna go all in. But yeah, I don't know, I've got an English version by Silverstorm on my playlist, and the lyrics are very, very fun. And you get to see Senku and the gang dancing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Unlike Senku. But even his dancing is like bobbing his head from side to side, so. Anyway. Summary of the episode. Senku and his companions finally set off for America in search of corn. However, a dispute arises between Ryusui and Senku shortly after they depart.
Yep, and this is manga chapters 143, Ryusui vs. Senku, and 144, Ryusui and Gen vs. Senku and Kohaku.
Super creative.
Yeah, gets the job done.
And honestly, that's kind of how I felt about this episode.
Yeah.
It was just... it had been like a year. I mean, obviously we've been watching Dr. Stone in the past year, but it's been like a year since we've seen anything new, and it just like, this episode caught me off guard, and I was like, this is a lot. This felt like season 1 ridiculousness.
See, I didn't mind it because I knew that we were gonna like hit the ground running as soon as as soon as they get to America. So I was like, I'm okay with a funny, goofy episode to start off the season.
No, I think that the second time we watched it was better. Anyway, we start out with kind of a recap of our main characters, I guess, as introduced by the reporter, which Minami?
Yep. And she's actually with them this time. She didn't go on the last one.
Yep, she's joined them. Which makes sense, because she's basically like, we're making history.
Right.
We gotta record
also,
that.
I'm pretty sure she can speak English, so if they meet anyone in America, she can translate.
Yeah. So we've got our strongest... And okay, in the manga and in the anime, they, like, give each person a title. So we've got our strongest primate high schooler, which is Tsukasa. And then Gen is the shallow mentalist. Or in the manga, the insincere mentalist. And then Suika's the great detective girl. And Kasuki is a god-tier craftsman. Or godly artisan. And then Chrome gets inspired science user. Then we get a really cute introduction of Kirisame, yeah. She's the uptight thrower specialist. Or in the manga, it's straight-laced warrior with a throwing arm.
Yeah.
But then there's a little bit of a hint of romance between her and our uptight spear specialist, or straight-laced spear warrior, Kinro. We have the warrior of revenge, or revenge-driven samurai, which is the new guy,
Matsukaze.
Yep. Honestly, didn't get that one as much.
Revenge driven?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we get to it later in the manga, he's got a character profile, and, like, I think it helps you get why they say revenge. Because he's not a vengeful spirit, but he is...
I always see him more as a protector, because he's, like, protecting...
But I think the revenge part has to do with the fact that when he was petrified, his, like, way of living was taken from him, and he wants to, like, do everything in his power to get rid of the Medusa devices.
Yeah. And then we've got our scumbag warrior, or super sleazy warrior, which everybody knows that's Kinro.
Uh-huh.
And then finally our last two, Ryusui, the leader of the ship, or ship captain, and our leader science, or science captain, Senku.
Yep.
And that's kind of all the main players. Only person...
Kohaku wasn't listed.
Yeah, Kohaku, and then Ukyo didn't get an introduction.
Yeah. I think because they were off doing something else. The others who were introduced were just kind of like who Minami ran into as she was going around the ship.
Yeah. But right after all the recap / reintroductions, we hear that Ryusui and Senku have been fighting about which route to take to America. Ryusui wants to take the rum line, which is just like straight across, and that will take 70 days. And Senku wants to take the Great Circle route, which will take 40 days, and it kind of goes...
Arcs.
Yeah, it kind of arcs, and it makes sense that it's shorter because, like, the world is...
It's a sphere. So, yeah.
So they're fighting, and they can't agree, and then we get Gen and Kohaku kind of join in, and Gen takes Ryusui's side, and Kohaku takes Senku's side, and Senku's reasoning is that if they don't get there in time, they'll miss out on the corn, and then they'll have to wait a whole year to get corn. And then Ryusui's like, no, we gotta take the longer route to accommodate the sailors and not stress them out. And it's like everybody's first time sailing except for him, basically.
Yeah. I appreciated Ryusui taking the side that he did. Because though I do agree with Senku because speed is of the essence, I also was like, Ryusui has a heart for his crew, and I want to respect what he is saying in that we can't put too much stress on them. And I think if I had been on the crew with them, I would have been more so on the camp of, like, when they came to that, they almost came to an agreement where it's like, we can shave off 10 to 15 days, basically. And I was like, oh yeah, why don't we go with that? Because then we'll make it just in time. But then Senku's insisting, but we won't make it in time. So in the end, you'll see what decision they come to. But in the end, I think it was the correct one.
Yeah. No, I was on Senku's side.
Of course you were.
I mean, there's an argument for it being more dangerous in the long run to have to stay a year in a foreign land
with winter coming
and with no known resources.
Yeah.
You know?
Also, I'm gonna state this for the record now because maybe this will happen in the current season that's airing. But when traveling, so you're being introduced to all sorts of new things. There could be new sicknesses, and also new foods they're being introduced to. So I'm wondering what will happen if somebody has like an allergic reaction, or something dangerous that they didn't predict or couldn't count on.
Yeah, I feel like the diseases aren't like as much of a concern right now unless they like run into people, except for like obviously things that can be carried by like animals and stuff. But even then, like most of that, like, there's some, like, think about all the animals that are extinct because they could, like, only survive in, like, the human body and stuff.
That's true.
Like, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, no, I was going to say allergies. That actually could be a thing.
Yeah.
Because it is something that your body, like,
well, I mean,
develops.
Even in this episode, Senku has an allergic reaction to something at the very end, so.
True. I'm surprised that he still has that allergy. Okay. Now I'm like like how does the stone
Okay.
What is the stone's like point of like healing?
Right, because the people with glasses still have their glasses. Yeah. It's not like they healed their vision. I think the point could be made though that like way back when Senku made Suika her glasses, he said something like, "There's nothing wrong with you. It's just your vision is different." So being nearsighted or farsighted isn't viewed as like a sickness or a disease. So it doesn't need to be healed.
Yeah. Okay, anyway. Okay, so they decide how they're gonna settle the argument is by playing poker. And they go all out. Everybody that's playing is like wearing fancy clothes, suits, and Kohaku is wearing a dress. And Ukio's the
dealer.
Yeah, the dealer. I don't know what the name of the what they call that. I've never played poker, so
holder, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Hey Siri.
Don't do that. You're gonna hear. My phone actually did.
It responded to me one time.
Yeah, it did, which was weird. I feel like our voices aren't that similar, so I don't know.
Super quick manga note. So on the back cover of the manga, Kohaku's dress looks exactly like it does in the anime, but in the manga itself, it looks like her dress might be like a flower print, and then her hair is still in the ponytail, but it's slightly curled. So I guess they're using their cosmetics and stuff.
Nice. That's cute. Okay, so for the poker game, Gen is helping Ryusui, and Kohaku is helping Senku. Alright, and of course Gen is trying to cheat. He's like trying to handle the cards and
do different tricks and things.
He has one, like he has some sugar in a bug and like trying to mark cards and
yes. Fun fact, if you look in the manga, there are like little asides where Gen actually teaches you how to do the card tricks that he's working on. Pretty fun. I'll have to keep some of those in mind.
Awesome. But basically he tricks Kohaku and Senku into focusing on him, and then Ryusui like steals the cards that he needs basically. And so now Ryusui has a straight, and Senku then pulls his own little trick. Kohaku takes cards from the top.
Yeah, from the top.
Yeah, really, she's like super fast and takes the cards that Senku tells her to. And Senku goes all in, and he's got a royal straight flush, which I don't know what that means, but apparently it's good.
It's better than a straight, I guess.
Because he wins. And this is also when we find out that they've been playing with 5 aces.
Yeah.
Too. Because Ryusui has 4, and then Senku
had
also has 1.
So Ukio's just like, well, guess we're playing with 5 aces. Oh well.
Yep. Yep. And we learned Senku marked the cards by using lacquer, which he is allergic to, so his face is like super puffy. But that's how he knew which cards to take.
Just waited for his skin to start itching.
Right. Like, oh, this one's it. Yeah, so they're gonna take the Great Circle route. And to get them there, they've gotta convince the crew, and they first do that by well, they do 3 things.
So Ryusui...
What's the first thing?
Ryusui basically states that in order to make a harder voyage, they have to make sure that the crew has motivation, which includes proper entertainment and stuff. So they've got... they were going to increase rations.
Yeah, that's the thing I
increase rations to make sure they had enough food, like, to keep them going. And then they were going to introduce fun to make sure they had relaxation to keep healthy in mind and body. And then the last thing was, let's have some fun drinks for the crew, too.
Yeah, well, yeah, they make a bar and they have beer. And now beer has been reintroduced into the world, even though I'm surprised it hadn't been already, because it's like not that hard to make.
They had wine, so.
But yeah, so they got their casino, they got their bar Francois, and then this is when we hear Ukio and I think Gen talking.
Yeah.
And basically Ukio's like, I think we were always going to take the Great Circle route, but we just needed to come up with a plan so that everybody was on board, basically. And again, choreographed everything. And he's like, maybe, but I was trying to win that poker game, and Senku outsmarted me. Which is honestly, that is impressive for Senku. I mean, he's like super smart, but he's also not he's very straightforward. He's not a trickster. But yeah, that's the end of the episode.
Yep, and we just started manga volume 17. So, at the end of the chapter we finished, there's a Mecha Senku Q&A. Tell me the trick to winning at poker. Gen says, you're not asking about championship tourneys or high roller casinos, right? Just casual games among friends? Very well. Here's one betting technique. Right near the start, perform a very obvious bluff. Even with a weak hand, just do it. When you inevitably lose the hand, put on a tough guy act and say, yeah, well, I totally knew that was going to happen. This is important. Make the others think, what a chump. After that, wait until you have an absurdly strong hand, and then go all in. What's this? Your opponent refuses to fold over and over. They'll be driven by the desire not to be fooled again, like that first time. Inevitably, they'll be thinking, I'd rather lose in an honest fight than be tricked again. People hate nothing more than being made to dance in the palm of another's hand. It's frustrating. Strike at that weakness.
Yep. Expect nothing less from Gen.
Uh-huh. Also, since we started a new volume, we've got author and artist notes. So Inagaki says, Senku and Friends' big voyage around the world really kicks off in this volume. But first, let's raise a toast. Like in the last volume, here's another picture of a drink. After reading the chapters, please look up some color images of the real-life drinks to get a better feel for them. I got them to make these drinks for me at an actual bar, and you can even mix them at home. So, more on that later, especially in the next episode, and a future experiment video. But, you will see what those drinks look like later. And then Boichi says, I like to imagine what Senku would say about how humanity ought to live when faced with a crisis. 1. Rely on science and reason. 2. Put in the effort and be passionate about it. 3. Don't fall for temptation. Don't look at a crisis as a chance to take advantage and be greedy. 4. Instead, think of it as a chance to build a better world. I believe these are the messages that Senku is imparting. Beyond that, I also think that Inagaki-sensei is practicing what he preaches. Recently, he made the switch to digital when preparing rough drafts of the chapters. All of a sudden, he quit doing it the way he's done it for his whole life and changed to a new method. I can see why that would be necessary for the artist, but why should the writer have to put in the extra effort? What he did makes life easier for our editor, but mostly for me. Certainly not for him, which is why I was so shocked. That's what makes him my author, our author, a man who lives by his own lessons. Amazing.
That's sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
And then Senku said, get excited, and one time in this episode, the classic...
This is exhilarating.
Yep,
Get excited.
And the first episode of the season, he's got to say it.
Yep.
Yeah, and I thought that's kind of it for this episode. Not much has happened. They're just getting started on their voyage.
Yep.
But it's a very action-packed season, so get excited. Megan, what was your favorite line of the episode?
Mine actually came from Ukyo. One might suspect it was all choreographed by a certain mentalist with a flair for the dramatic. A fun little theory, at least. What about you, Meg?
Mine came from Senku, when they're playing their poker game, and he says, Why obsess over the fancy clothes, you dummy? And what did we learn?
Fights can be settled with a game.
And who pushed a story forward?
Again, for coming up with the poker plan.
Mm-hmm. And that's all we've got for this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We will actually be taking a break next week, but we will have a fun little YouTube video that we did. So watch out for that.
Yep. Follow us on our Instagram at the Anime Iceberg, and you'll probably see when new things are up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Bye.
Bye.